The second I knew that they sold pies and ice cream here, I knew we would absolutely love this national park.
This place is underrated, I would say.
Yeah, for sure underrated.
So far during our time in southern Utah, we have visited 2 of the national parks that make up the Mighty Five, Zion and Bryce Canyon.
And after a fun weekend hiking to a waterfall and through a very narrow slot canyon in the Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument, we have headed 1.5 hours east to our first new national park in Utah and 35th total, Capitol Reef. We unfortunately only have 24 hours to spend here at Capitol Reef National Park, but we are going to do and see as much as humanly possible in those 24 hours.
While there are multiple parts to the national park, since we're limited on time and we don't have 4x4, we're going to stick to the Highway 24 and Fruita area. And first up, we are hiking to Hickman Bridge.
So the Hickman Bridge is a 1.8 mile round trip hike. It's one of the most popular hikes in the park, and it starts off of Highway 24, and the parking lot is pretty small. Be warned, we actually had to park on the side of the highway, and you can't tell, there is some incline because I am having a hard time breathing and talking at the same time.
Wow, that's awesome. There it is, the Hickman Bridge. This bad boy is 133 feet long and 125 feet high.
So about 0.3 miles from the actual trailhead, the Hickman Bridge Trail splits off into another trail, which will take you to the Rim Overlook, which is about 2 miles each way from the split off point, or to Navajo Knobs, which is about 4.2 miles each way from the split off point. We've heard Navajo Knobs is an incredible hike with amazing views all around when you get to the top. It's about a 2,100 foot elevation gain. It'll put our total mileage for today at about 10 miles. So our goal is to make it to the Rim Overlook, but we're really gonna try hard to make it to Navajo Knobs. We have about 5 hours of daylight left, so I think we can do it, but we'll see how far we can make it.
A couple fun facts about the national park. The name Capitol Reef comes from Capitol, the white sandstone domes that resemble the domes on top of Capitol buildings, combined with there's a reef of mountains that runs through the park that proved to be a barrier, a major barrier for travelers. So they combined Capitol and Reef to get Capitol Reef National Park. And the defining geological feature of the national park is what's called the water pocket fold, which the Sparks version is basically there was major uplift and it kind of folded over itself, and so it's kind of a wrinkle in the Earth's crust now, and water got trapped in there, and it later created domes and arches and canyons.
Check out this sick view from the Rim Overlook. You can see the highway down below and get good perspective of how far we've actually climbed up today. You can see Fruita and the orchards, which we'll show and tell you more about tomorrow. Tons of just cliffs and crazy roads and wind and canyons and wow. All right, now on to Navajo Knobs, hopefully. This is honestly the hardest hike we have done in a very long time.
In a while, yeah.
My All Trails app says we've gained like 3,700 feet between all the ups and downs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Whew.
It's like a Stairmaster workout. You just up, 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 up without much relief. Final ascent. We gotta scramble up this pile of rocks here.
Almost there.
Almost there.
As soon as we came up this hill though,
Oh, man.
there are views all over here that we will show you in a second. Oh man, we did it. The view's worth it for sure.
This is entirely 360. Just incredible. In every direction you look. Wow. So windy up here. It's just amazing. This is one of the best views we've seen in a long time.
We're only about like 4-ish hours into our Capitol Reef adventure, and I already absolutely love this park. It is so beautiful.
This place is underrated, I would say.
Yeah, for sure underrated.
This hike's hard, but if you can do it,
It's
you gotta.
really hard.
If you can do it though, you gotta do it.
Yeah. Also, you don't even have to come all the way up here to have great views.
No.
You can just go to the Overlook if you don't feel like making the whole trek up here or scrambling. But if you can make it up here, do it.
It's worth it. Can't say it enough, but amazing spot, magical spot. Oh, we're heading back down. We are pooped, but we made it back. We made it out alive. And the whole way down on the trail, we were just really jonesing, really wanting some chips and salsa. So we booked it back into town, went to the only place that was open and hopefully had chips and salsa there, the gas station. And look what we got.
Woo! May not be the world's greatest salsa, but it will do the trick. So we are gonna devour this. We're gonna slam this whole thing right now. Even though half of this bag is air. It's not even chips. What the heck? But we're gonna enjoy this, get a little bit of sleep, and then we're gonna continue our adventures at Capitol Reef with a sunrise hike in the morning to Cassidy Arch.
Cool.
This is nice.
Yeah.
Oh, we made it to the Cassidy Arch, and this thing is freaking amazing. It's about a little over a 3-mile hike to get here. It's 900 feet of elevation gain, but compared to last night, it felt so much easier, and it really wasn't that hard to hike in the dark. We felt safe. It was easy for the most part to find the trail, and we had the best sunrise that we've had in a really long time on the way up,
gorgeous.
Which made it even more special.
So the Cassidy Arch is actually named after the outlaw Butch Cassidy, who apparently had a hideout in the Grand Wash, which is just below us. And one of the best parts of Cassidy Arch is you can actually walk across the top of the arch.
This is amazing.
Yeah, so wild up here.
The top of the arch is actually really, really wide. It feels totally safe. Obviously there are a couple of ledges, but for the most part, tons of room for activities. There's this humongous hole. I'm not gonna get too close to really look at how big it is, but it's kind of like a big bowl, and that's the underside of the arch. It's kind of freaky to look down into.
I haven't seen any pictures or videos, but apparently you can rappel down. I didn't bring my gear this time, but maybe next time we can chain up and not happening.
The Cassidy Arch Trail shares part of a trail with the Grand Wash Trail, which is another really popular hike here in the park. From our understanding, on the Grand Wash Trail, you're basically just hiking through cool, crazy canyon walls, and there's a part called the Narrows about 1.3 miles in where the walls get a little bit more narrow, but we hear it's nothing like what we just did in our last video. So we're not gonna hike the whole thing just because we have other things we wanna do in the park, but we're gonna walk for a bit and just kinda check it out and see what it's about.
Around every corner you turn in the Grand Wash, you are just met with a gigantic rock right in your face. It's pretty grand. I stole that from Kathryn, I won't lie. We came a little north in the park to the Fruita Historic District, which was a 200-acre Mormon settlement in the late 1800s.
This area of the park is super cool and has tons of history and historical buildings like the Gifford Homestead right behind us. The Gifford Homestead was built in 1908 and has had a few residents over time, with the most recent and final residents being the Gifford family.
The Gifford family raised livestock and also had a large garden and were self-sustained on the food they grew and raised.
The National Park Service took over the property in 1969, and it's now a store that sells handmade and locally made items and what we're most excited for, pie.
From Pie Day until the end of October, the Gifford House sells locally made pies and homemade ice cream, and this is one of the things that we were most excited about visiting Capitol Reef.
The second I knew that they sold pies and ice cream here, I knew we would absolutely love this national park.
So they have a bunch of different flavors. I saw apple, mixed berry, that's the only ones I can remember, but we got strawberry rhubarb, and it looks and smells so dang good.
And it's warm.
Oh, it's still warm, which is crazy.
I wasn't expecting that.
Me neither.
And cute little individual size ice creams.
Okay, so I heard a guy across the table, across the way, say that the crust is unbelievable. He's right. There's so much fruit in there. Strawberry goodness. It's tart. Oh man, look at that. The crust is buttery, flaky, crispy on the edges, but soft underneath because of all the fruit mixed in. So much fruit on the bottom there. We were debating whether to get one each, and I think we made a mistake.
That is so good. Instantly you get like a little bit of a crunch from the sugar on the crust, and then it just has such a fresh, delicious, sweet and tart fruit flavor. I forgot how much I love pie. Let's try this bad boy a la mode. Oh, this is gonna be so good. It makes it taste like a strawberry milkshake with crust. Oh, good flavor pick, Adam. Yeah, we might need another one.
I know we don't need it, but we need it.
Okay, take a guess. What kind did I get?
Can I look at it?
Yeah, I don't know. You might not know right off the bat.
Apple.
Nailed it! I was torn between apple and peach, but I saw how crumbly the top of the apple looked, and it looked so good, and you can't go wrong with a classic.
Top of this, it just looks like streusely, so crumbly. Oh no. I'm so glad you picked this one. This is like a hefty pie. Whoa. Oh heck yeah. That is amazing. Crunchy on the outside. So much fruit in there. Speechless.
This is probably the best decision we've made in a really long time. This is, wow. So cinnamony, crunchy, soft. It's like the best flavor texture combo ever. We're never leaving.
That was an amazing breakfast. Some would call it a breakfast of champions.
One really cool thing about Fruita is that there are tons of orchards all throughout this area. They're planted by Mormon pioneers in the 1880s, and they provided income and food for the community. There's everything from apples, peaches, pears, plums, so many different kinds of fruits that are grown right here.
And today there's over 1,900 fruit trees. They're managed by the National Park staff, and they actually use the same heritage irrigation techniques and the same irrigation channels and ditches that the Mormon pioneer settlers dug. That's crazy.
June through October is harvesting time here in the park, and if you're visiting during that time, you can actually pick your own fruit, which just seems like such a unique national park experience, so we'll definitely have to come back during those months sometime in the future. And one bonus of Capitol Reef is that dogs are allowed in certain areas in the Fruita area and in unfenced orchards. Kona's having the time of her life right now.
Another important building in the park is the Fruita Schoolhouse, which was built by residents in 1896. It was not only used as a school, but a church and a meeting house for the residents. And today it's restored to look how it looked in the 1930s.
The mix of nature, history, and agriculture at Capitol Reef National Park is just unlike any other national park we've been to. This is such an incredible place. I know we keep saying how underrated it is, but we are just having the best time just strolling around the orchards, seeing all the old buildings, going on hikes. It's just been a really interesting mix of activities here.
So from the Fruita area, there is a 10-mile scenic drive that takes you down. Not really sure where it leads you to, but we're gonna go check it out.
At the end of the scenic drive is Capitol Gorge, which we are gonna do part of the hike in a minute, but first we're having to drive down this 5-mile dirt, bumpy, rocky road, which I kind of forgot about when I thought, oh, let's go do this. And it's not too bad. We're going very slow, but that's actually not because of us for once. It's the car in front of us. But you're basically just driving all through this canyon gorge thing. It is just a pretty amazing road. It makes the bumpiness worth it.
A worry we had was we'd get all the way down this road and there'd be no parking. Here we are, no parking.
And there's nowhere to turn around, so, yikes.
So if anybody's seen Austin Powers, the movie, I'm not sure which one, where he backs up a million times and goes forward in the golf cart. That's what I just had to do.
But we made it out of the parking lot, and unless we park about a mile or half a mile or a decent walk down the road, which there aren't even that many spots, the road's pretty narrow, there's really no way we can do this hike. So the whole reason we were going to go do it is because about 0.3 miles in, there's this thing called the Pioneer Register, which is a wall, one of the, I guess, just sheer walls, and there's names of pioneers on it. It just looked really interesting and unique, so we wanted to check it out, but we don't think it's worth having to walk a ton to go get to it and deal with all the craziness on this road, so I think we're gonna head back to the front of the park now.
Before visiting Capitol Reef, we didn't know a ton about it, and we thought that 24 hours would be plenty of time to get the feel and get the experience for this area, but we quickly learned that we need multiple days just for this area, and there's also other areas of the park that we would love to explore.
We did a lot in 24 hours, and if you want to copy some of the stuff that we did and kind of follow our hiking plans, we definitely recommend having at least a day and a half or 2 days just so you can experience it a little bit more leisurely. We're extremely tired, but we are so glad that we crammed in as much as we could because we got to see so much of the park in. Yeah, it was worth feeling tired. But the reason that we have to book it out of here is because we are heading to the place that probably came the most recommended to us while in southern Utah, and that is Goblin Valley. Oh. Oh.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Oh.
I was going for the cheek.
Yeah. This is what you call super selfie stick.
Oh my god, this is so embarrassing. That is hilarious.